Port Charles is no stranger to chaos, betrayal, and near-death showdowns, but the town is about to be rocked by one of the most explosive weeks in General Hospital history. In a stunning twist, Dalton is revealed to be poisoned, and the only person who might save him is Britt Westbourne. But as Britt pushes herself to the brink by testing a dangerous antidote on herself, Port Charles faces emotional collapse and shocking revelations. Let's dive deep into this dramatic, emotional, and jaw-dropping storyline that will reshape the landscape of General Hospital. It started like a whisper. Dalton, the elusive operative tied to multiple factions across Port Charles and beyond, stumbled into the GH emergency room in the middle of the night. Barely conscious, drenched in sweat, his skin a sickly gray-green, he collapsed in front of Elizabeth and TJ, whispering two words. She knew. They assumed it was just another covert mission gone wrong, a gunshot wound, an internal bleed, a chemical agent. But this was different. His blood was clotting in strange patterns, his eyes dilated unnaturally, and even a standard epinephrine shot caused his veins to ripple like they were rejecting treatment. It was Britt Westbourne who made the initial discovery. This wasn't a virus or a common neurotoxin. It was a designer poison, one she'd only read about in classified WSB files. Worse yet, the toxin was genetically reactive, designed to adapt inside its host and evade antidotes unless perfectly calibrated to the victim's blood. Dalton had been marked for death. But by who? Britt had been keeping a low profile ever since her return from Amsterdam, where she had spent months recovering from past trauma and her Huntington's disease scare. Although still in remission and under careful observation, Britt had refused to return to full-time medicine until now. When Sonny Corinthos called her personally, demanding the best mind on the case, she reluctantly came to the hospital. Britt examined Dalton and immediately went pale. "This isn't just an assassination attempt," she muttered. "This is a test run." "What does that mean?" Jordan demanded, hovering nearby. "It means someone in Port Charles is next." The room went silent. Despite her misgivings, Britt set up a biohazard containment lab and began working around the clock to isolate the adaptive poison. TJ assisted her while Liz coordinated with WSB contacts, but the clock was ticking. Dalton was slipping fast, seizures, blood pressure crashes, and then cardiac arrhythmias. That night, Britt went home with a heavy heart. She stared at her reflection, thinking of how far she'd come, how many mistakes she'd made, and how her instincts screamed this wasn't just science. This was personal. Meanwhile, Anna Devane and Jason Morgan were chasing shadows. After investigating the poisoning, their leads took them to a confidential file deep in WSB archives, one that Britt's father, Caesar Faison, had once touched. The poison, codenamed Artemis, was created by an Eastern European biochemist named Lyra Novak, once a protege of Faison. Lyra had vanished 5 years ago, but Anna discovered an encrypted message left in a digital storage vault. Only one can survive the trial. The host must be willing. They were left with more questions than answers. Back in Port Charles, Britt pieced together something far more chilling. Dalton's DNA was spliced with a viral component engineered to search for WSB markers, which meant that anyone with ties to the WSB, including Britt herself, could be vulnerable. Then came the horror. Britt accidentally nicked her finger while handling the serum. Within 12 hours, she collapsed at GH with a 104-degree fever, hallucinating. Britt was rushed into isolation. Liesel Albrecht returned immediately upon hearing the news. She screamed at the staff, "Do not let my daughter die like this." Maxie and Nina stood vigil outside, refusing to leave. "This family has lost too much," Nina said quietly. Inside, Britt's body began reacting violently. Her muscles spasmed, her vision blurred, and she began to convulse. She gripped the bed rail with what little strength she had and whispered to Elizabeth, "Don't let me become like him." Meanwhile, TJ and Liesel made a critical discovery. The antidote Britt had been working on had progressed faster than expected. Her own infection, while terrifying, had allowed the serum to calibrate a tailored response. Theoretically, injecting the full dose might save her. But it hadn't been tested. The odds of cardiac arrest were dangerously high. Then we need someone who'll take that risk, Liesel said. Maxie, tears streaming down her face, replied, Britt already did. Britt woke from a semi-lucid state and demanded the syringe. No, Liesel pleaded. Let us test it further. There's no time, and I won't let this thing kill someone else. Britt, I know what I'm doing, and if it works, I'll live. If it doesn't, then you'll know I got it close. Finish it. Use me. With trembling hands, Britt injected herself. For a moment, the world stopped. Her body went rigid. Monitors flatlined for 2 seconds. Then her heart raced out of control, 220 BPM. A code blue was called. Finn rushed in. Epinephrine, defibrillator paddles, desperate measures. Then a breath. A heartbeat. Stabilization. She lived. Barely. As Britt lay unconscious, Dalton, now awake and recovering, stared through the glass. I didn't think anyone would do that for me, he told Jason. Not after everything I've done. Jason stared at him hard. You better make it worth it. Dalton confessed that he knew the name of the next target, Jocelyn Jacks. Jason stormed out, calling Sunny and Dante into emergency action. Meanwhile, Britt slowly opened her eyes in recovery. Her body ached, but her mind was clear. And standing there with uncharacteristic tenderness was her mother, clutching her hand. You stupid, reckless, brave girl, Liesel whispered, kissing her forehead. The news of Britt's near-death act spread fast through Port Charles. Maxie broke down crying. Nina vowed to destroy whoever did this. Trina visited Britt and thanked her for proving that people can change and matter. TJ publicly called Britt a miracle worker and a warrior. Meanwhile, Sunny ordered a lockdown. Anna discovered that the real target had never been Dalton. He was simply the carrier, an experiment to see if the antidote could be triggered, which meant the real poison, now upgraded, was heading for someone else. And the shocking twist? Lyra Novak was already in Port Charles, using an alias, working at General Hospital as a new lab tech named Anya Rivers. Jason, Anna, and Curtis worked quickly to expose Anya's real identity. When they confronted her, Lyra smiled. You're too late, she said. She activated a remote trigger on her phone. A gas began leaking from the hospital's sub-basement, where the air filtration system connected directly to the surgical suite. In real time, Britt and Liesel watched a red warning flash across the lab screens. Biohazard alert. Tier 1. Without hesitating, Britt yanked on her hazmat suit and ran for the lower floors, even though she hadn't fully recovered. Liesel followed, but security intervened, holding her back. Britt found the gas valve. She used the last reserves of the antidote in her portable kit to neutralize the airborne compound, locking the lab down from within. Jason reached the control room just in time to override the release system. In the aftermath, Britt collapsed again, this time from exertion, not poison. But the worst was over. Dalton left town under WSB escort, swearing he'd return with names of everyone involved in the Artemis project. Lyra Novak was captured and transferred to a high-security lab. And Britt? She was hailed as a hero. GH hosted a press conference. Gregory Chase, still recovering from ALS complications, gave a moving tribute. Nina offered a $1 million donation in Britt's name to establish the Britt Westbourne Bioethics and Toxin Recovery Lab. Sunny told her, "You saved my family. We'll never forget it." Jason, uncharacteristically emotional, told her quietly, "You didn't just save lives. You saved yourself. Welcome back, Britt." In a private moment, Liesel handed Britt a sealed envelope from WSB headquarters. Inside was a letter from an anonymous agent, thanking her for risking her life and saying the WSB was offering her a role as lead consultant on a new global toxin tracking program. Also inside, a photo of her father, Faison, and a redacted document. Subject Artemis was originally intended to target his heir. Tears welled up in Britt's eyes. Her father had designed a poison to eliminate her years ago. But instead of destroying her, that same poison gave her the chance to prove her worth, her brilliance, and her strength. And now, she was ready for whatever came next. Dalton was poisoned by a bioengineered toxin from Faison's legacy. Britt Westbourne risked her life by injecting herself with a prototype antidote. Lyra Novak, the poison's creator, had been hiding in GH under an alias. Britt survived, barely, and saved the hospital from mass poisoning. Dalton leaves town with intel. Jocelyn is the next potential target. Britt is offered a WSB consultant role and honored by GH with a new lab. Faison's dark legacy nearly ended her life, but she turned it into her victory.